What's happening, tennis fans? Today we are talking about pronation on the serve, and if you are struggling on getting pace, maybe even consistency or spin, this might be the answer.
Yeah, this is the answer. If you want to hit the ball harder, this is it. So pay attention. We'll dive right in, man. Let's just get to it.
We got several drills. We'll show you the first one now.
Here we go.
Learning to pronate on the serve is really difficult, but with these exercises, we're going to simplify them. And the first thing that you're going to learn is how to use the Continental grip, the hammer grip. So instead of getting knuckles or bevels, what Scott is demonstrating here is he's starting in the hammer grip. And the reason it's called that is just imagine how you would hold a hammer. It's really difficult to hold a hammer incorrectly. And what he's doing is he's bouncing the ball off the frame and keeping it neutral, so the wrist is neutral, and then on the second bounce, he's turning to meet the ball with the strings. That's actual pronation. He's turning his forearm over to pronate, and that's the first drill. If you want to make sure that you're pronating correctly, it's just simply to bounce the ball off the frame and then turn it off the string, turn it over to it bounces off the strings, and then back off the frame, and then the strings, and repeat that until it's comfortable. In this next drill, you're focusing on leading with the edge of the racket. And we're gonna do this, but what you can see in the demo is Scott is starting with his arm up, the elbow is even with his shoulder, and the butt cap is facing forward. And from this position, he's looking to strike the ball that's on the ground. And by having the visual, having the target on the ground, what inevitably happens is that you get this organic pronation as the racket is working forward. By aiming for the ball with the strings, you end up into this pronation position, and you maintain the integrity and the alignment of the shoulder and elbow. You do need to bend down, and for a lot of us, we're gonna have to bend down slightly to strike that ball, but this is a great way to really figure out the relationship of when the racket pronates, maintaining the elbow position, and making sure that you're internally rotating through the stroke. Now the next drill is a fun one because now we're focusing on contact with the ball, but still we're not aiming anywhere into the court. You're simply starting with your elbow in that same position, and instead of striking the ball on the ground, now you're gonna strike the ball off the ground. So what's key here is that you don't toss too high. If it gets too high, it's gonna get away from you. So what you can see from the demo with Scott, he's simply just focusing or tossing to where he wants the contact point, and then he's getting the ball to work behind him. So again, in that hammer grip, as he tosses, he's bouncing that ball behind him. But the thing to focus on here is keep your elbow up. If you keep that elbow up, you end up pronating, you get that sweet wrist snap that's gonna lend itself to more power. Have you ever wanted to spike it overhead over the fence? Yeah, of course you do. The way that you do it is actually just about getting your arm extended and then pronating. And with proper contact and then pronating, that ball is going to rebound off the ground and go over the fence. Just like you can see in the demo, that's what Scott is doing here. To learn this, just make sure that you choke up on the racket. Don't have your racket way down here. You're gonna have better control of the edge of the racket by choking all the way up. And just like the drill we did prior to this in step number 3, you're only gonna toss as high as you need to hit the ball. Don't get the toss way up higher. This is gonna be tough. But toss up and then focus on that contact even with the ball, and then allow your wrist to turn over into the pronation, keeping that elbow up, and then allow it to follow through, and you'll be able to spike the overhead over the fence and hit a bigger, more powerful serve. Step 5, it's time to serve, but we want you to start at the service line, right? Just make sure that you're aiming for the bottom of the ball, all right? A lot of times when you're at the service line, suddenly you get this idea that you're hitting down, and that's not the case. We're just making it easier to focus on the serve and pronating by moving you up close. The second thing is, in order to make it easier, you'll see in the demo, Scott is starting his serve from a power position. So he's not going full pendulum or anything of the sort. He's starting from this power position and then just tossing to where he's gonna make contact with the arm extended, and then he gets into that pronation and finishes with the elbow up until the arm comes across. When you feel really confident doing this from the service line, then move back to the baseline, and it's time to start hitting that more advanced serve with more power and more spin potential.
All right, guys, so to close this up here, if you've thought about pronation, you always hear coaches talking about this. I think a lot of rec players get intimidated. This really isn't that hard. If you can feel it, you can do it. Practice these drills. Anything that you're missing on your serve, more power, more spin, it really comes from pronation. So you got to master this if you want to have that high-level serve.
Absolutely. The wrist is the gift an anatomy that gives us the power in the serve, but pronating the forearm that allows the wrist to snap is where that power lies. So get out there, put these drills in action. We'll see you next time. Howdy, tennis fans. If you are looking for more powerful, more spin,
Hold on. I can't. Howdy, tennis fans.
What's wrong with that?
Howdy, tennis fans.
Yeah, howdy. That's what I say. So that's what you mean, say hello? I'm saying tennis fan. That I don't care.
Say whatever.
you.
I'm gonna say whatever I want, Kenny. That's
Whatever's
what I'm
natural.
saying.
Do what you've been
Howdy,
doing.
howdy,
Don't let
tennis
him
fans.
scare
What I
you.
would say.
Howdy.
Yeah.
Don't let me scare you into a real personality. I can't help but derail every film shoot. This is why I'm only allowed to come here once a month.
All right, here we go.
Howdy, tennis fans.
Howdy.
My name's Nate, and I want to teach you about how to pronate that wrist so you can wrestle them cows.
Wrestle with an R.